Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. We had so much fun talking about the biggest lies you've been told. I think we're going to need to have this go on for about a month because there is so much to cover. And what happened is in the first video, I told you a lot about the lies that came to mind for me. And then what I want to do in this video is to share the ones that you sent in to me. You emailed me on the community page, you emailed me at support@thehealthyamerican.org, and we're going to look at your comments from the previous video. Many of you told me that you love when I share the comments, and I love to share the comments because my Healthy American audience is awesome. You're smart, you're savvy, you're supportive, you're a little snarky, and you are on to the hogwashers. So what I want to do is thank the sponsor. This is another sponsored video. I love bringing you these messages because these are products that I use, that I like, and that I hope you will as well. So you know about ketowithpeggy.com, and this is Keto Elevate. And if you do feel that you are fighting a losing battle against the dreaded holiday weight, yes, all the way into March, you'll be glad to know that 52% of US adults are with you. Over half of Americans say that they are trying to lose weight this year. So one of the best ways to help fight this battle against the dreaded holiday weight that still might be hanging around is with this amazing keto powder. By helping promote elevated levels of ketones, it can help you take control of your cravings and also your appetite. And then it also supports your weight management goals at the source because you only need to take one scoop a day. One of my Healthy Americans said that she puts it into her morning coffee and just loves it. So you can fight this dreaded holiday weight, and you can get up to 51% off your order. And you also get several free bonuses, including VIP health coaching for life. And you want to get this before their half off sale ends. I have a link for you in the description box. You click that and expand it. And then you also have 60 days. That's the best part. Try it, see if you like it. If not, you can change your mind if you are not fully satisfied. As I say, try it, you'll like it. And as I do as well. Friends, let's talk about more lies that you've been told. I know it goes on and on and on. And the purpose of these videos that I'm doing is to, number one, I think it's really healthy to have a place where we can all come together and say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you think that way as well. None of my family believes what I'm saying. So that is, I need to add chemtrails to the list. Oh, I'm probably going to get flagged with that. I usually call it spraying. You may find that there are those that just don't get it, and you like being able to have your views validated. And so that's a part of what we do here on this channel. Also, I really focus on critical thinking. And that simply means to dig deeper, that you don't just take at face value what other people have said. And that's why it really bothers me that these are lies that we've been told over and over and over again. It becomes a part of our culture, of our society, of our education. So I hope that you'll watch part one. And then we will be doing deep dives on these. I want to remind everybody that I'm not doing a deep dive on every single topic tonight. I want to bring all of these to the surface so that you can start going, I never thought about that. I never thought about how an electric vehicle, actually a lot of energy was used to create that electric vehicle. I was told that I was going to have zero emissions. So my goal is to help you think about these things. So before we dive in, I need to tell you one more that's at the top of my list. And I think this is the one that is harming us the most these days, aside from the virology one that I mentioned in the last video. And that is the concept of CO2. Okay, CO2 is carbon dioxide. Carbon is the most abundant, let me put it this way, it's known as the molecule of life. It is what we are made of, and we need carbon in order to live and thrive. And carbon dioxide is oxygen for trees. Our planet needs carbon dioxide. So I would say one of the biggest lies that we've been told is that the increasing amount, which that's never been proven either. Just like with cooties, the scientists that have shown that when they measure the gas in the air, that it's not harmful and that it's not actually increasing temperatures and so forth, they get shut down. They get shut down just like the cootie scientists who speak about the truth. So you have to take that into consideration as well. If you are awake and aware and alert to all of the hogwash that's been sloshed all over us in terms of these, medical interventions that are supposed to, do X, Y, Z, and you're like, nobody has the right to tell me to do that. Well, take that same approach and be open-minded and look a little bit more into the concept of CO2. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't pollution, and I'm not saying that, rivers aren't drying up, and they are, especially in California because of poor water management. And I'm not saying that there's not trash on the streets and that we don't, especially in San Francisco. But what I'm saying is the concept that CO2 is at the root of it all needs to be really looked at very closely, because any groundskeeper and it's called a greenhouse gas for a reason. Anyone who keeps a greenhouse will tell you that they can purchase CO2 in a canister and pump that CO2 into their greenhouse. Why? To increase the yield, to have bigger fruits and vegetables, more flowers, greener, better, healthier, thriving. So to be told that CO2 is harming the planet is exactly like we were told that our oxygen is, and maybe our carbon dioxide as we exhale, is killing other people. There's no evidence for it, friends. And I know what a powerful argument this is, because it's been going on for many, many years. Now, my sister reminds me that when she was in high school or junior high, it was the ozone layer that was going to be depleted. And there was a hole in the ozone, and maybe there is. I don't even really know that much about the ozone other than it's ostensibly a part of our atmosphere that was being damaged by all the hairsprays. So all the hairsprays had to be taken off the market. You see where we're going here? And previous to that, it was the ice age that was coming, and the whole planet was going to be freezing, and there would never be sunlight again, and all the food would never grow, and so forth. So we have to look at things deeper. And when you look at the actual facts of CO2, it is necessary for life to thrive. Now, we can talk about other things that might be affecting the climate, such as the spraying in the skies. And, that definitely is affecting the climate, at least my local climate, because I can no longer see the sun or blue skies or regular clouds. And there's residue on my windshield that looks like little plastic pieces. So yes, definitely there is man-made destruction of our climate, but possibly not in the way that you might think. So be open-minded to digging deeper into CO2. And let me just throw out one more lie, and then we'll look at all of yours, because it's also related. Here in California, we're told that we are in an eternal drought. And the governor's still saying that we're in a drought, even though we have record levels of snow, like at the lowest levels that it's been in 200 years or something. Again, I may be exaggerating to make a point, but we've had so much rain that, number one, the earth itself, right, all that goes into the water table. So there's water that runs under I don't want to say under the earth, but under the ground. And that is called primary water. And there are aquifers, and these go on for miles, hundreds of square miles. There's tons of water in the earth. And when it rains, that's where it goes. Unless you're in California and the governor opens up all of the ways to manage the water and lets it flow into the ocean. But even then, it's in the ocean. Water never goes away. It will transform into gas like steam, or into ice, or into snow, or you drink it, but it never goes away. It is transformed. So the idea that in California, when they say that there's a drought, they want you to stop using water. It's the exact opposite. You need to have more moisture in the air to eliminate the drought-like conditions. And that's why in places like Palm Springs and other desert areas, think of Israel, for example, they brought in water and they created an oasis, and things would thrive and grow. And I think Israel is one of the most important sorry, I know. So what I'm thinking right now is you guys are not going to like it that I'm talking about Israel. So let me talk about another country. But there are countries that have been able to take care of this, and then they are a major exporter of fruits and produce and so forth. Israel just happens to be one of them. It comes to mind because it's a desert. And other places, I lived in Morocco, and they were able to use their water and to grow produce and so forth. So you need to increase the amount of water if you are in a drought scenario, so that there can be more moisture in the air, there can be more evaporation, condensation. And I've spoken about that before. It's called the hydrologic cycle, and turning off your water and turning your environment into rocks, which is what they do in California. That is how they are bamboozling people, and it's actually creating more of a drought. So that's another lie that you've been told. All right, let's look at what you sent into me. All right. Tata said that one of the biggest lies that being told is that the cooties cocktail is, you repeat after me, safe and effective. The other thing, I think this is important, we're always told to trust the doctor. and that whatever they say is the best. Now, I have amazing Healthy American doctors, MDs. I've got holistic doctors, and they will even say that your body knows best, to listen to your body, and that they can guide you, they can offer things, but they are not the know-all, end-all, be-all. They can offer suggestions and diagnostics and things like that. But the ones that I know, the upstanding Healthy Americans, they are not egotistical like that. So again, we've been told in our society to just, follow the doctor's orders. And the other one is teacher knows best. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. And then that goes along, she says, with the idea of another lie, that only a degree can qualify you to have an understanding and knowledge about any subject. That, my friends, is so demeaning. It's so condescending. You probably have experienced it like I have, especially if you've stood up for your rights. You may have people say to you, well, are you an attorney? Well, how do you know about the law? Or if you talk about the science and the medicine, well, did you go to medical school? No, but you can research and study. So I agree with that lie that only a degree, or for that matter, that a college degree is necessary. I think that's another lie we've been told. Certainly not in this day and age. You can get so much information online. I am a huge fan of apprenticeships, and I hope that comes back, where you learn at the elbow of someone that knows. They're your mentor. Okay, Ronald says that he doesn't like that the earth is a ball flying through empty space. You've probably heard me make some offhanded comments here and there. I did do a deep dive on a webinar that I think might still be available. And the reason why I didn't put it on YouTube is because a lot of those channels are being taken down. And I really focus on the law and your rights and critical thinking and so forth. But talk about critical thinking. That is something that bears a bit more looking into, because first of all, there's nothing in the Bible, and if you're going on the biblical perspective, like I really rely on that, there's nothing in the Bible that said the earth is in motion or that it spins. In fact, it's the exact opposite. There are verses after verses after verses that say that the earth is established, it's not moving, it's on pillars, the sky was stretched over, and in the very beginning, how God talks about the earth shaped as a dome where there's waters above and waters below. And it's very interesting to me that many Bible-believing Christians are still not at the point yet of digging deeper into that. So it's a very controversial topic. And I go by my own evidence. I don't see evidence of anything moving. And if you've ever had a wet tennis ball and you spin it around, all of that water flies off. So I don't understand how the water would stay in the earth if it was spinning. And I also don't understand how people in Australia don't fall off. And then you'll say, well, Peggy, that's gravity. Well, that's another hypothesis. That's never been proven. Now, there is weight and mass. So if you have, a feather and a brick, the brick is going to fall faster because the weight of the brick. And that's just, that's just common sense. And if there was gravity, how could we have balloons and how could birds fly? So again, we can do a deep dive on this, but several of you said that one of the things that really bothered you was this idea that the earth is a ball flying through empty space. Why wouldn't it fall down or fall out? And why would it have to spin? And it also tells us, that concept tells us that the sun is at the center of the universe. So if you want to do a deep dive, you're going to research Copernicus and Galileo. I don't even know if they were real people or if they were fictional characters that were propped up in this whole charade. But when you start to look more deeply into their views, it's going to be very alarming for you. They were the ones that said, Copernicus was the one that said, oh, no. The sun is at the center of the universe, not the earth. Again, that goes to my concept of life is meaningless. We're just another rock going around the sun. The sun is the center of all creation. No, it's not. God created his people as the center of creation. And I believe the earth is at the center. And again, the concept today wasn't to talk about all that, other than to bring to your mind one of the lies that people have been told. So you can dig deeper into that, and there's some food for thought. All right. Pamela says that there are a lot of false flags, and she is also talking about wars that they get us in that were not for the purpose that we were told. And I think a lot of you realize that too. Gulf of Tonkin incident is very well known for not really happening. So that's another thing that you can research. Kathy says, of course, we were told about the cooties and the suffocation devices as if they work. This is interesting. Jennifer says that we have always been slaves and continue to be slaves, and that the system was not designed for us, and that we don't really live in a constitutional republic. This is what her point is bringing up, and that the democracy is for Pharaoh's nobility to each have chances in office to rule. I'm going to have to dig a little deeper into that. You know that I never call our political system a democracy, because a democracy is really majority rule, and it's the people have the last word. And in a constitutional republic, ideally, the Constitution has the last word. And they're trying to change that. Like in California, they're saying, oh no, abortion is a right in our Constitution of California. Well, it can't be a right, because our Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of California says that I have the right to life. So how can I have the right to life and a mother's child doesn't have a right to life? It doesn't add up. So that's where they are getting away from the Constitution having the last word and saying, well, the people wanted it that way. The people voted. It doesn't matter what the people voted if it goes against the Constitution. All right. Here's another one. 5 of Us says that the wars that the military members have been involved in were to defend our nation's freedoms. This is, again, a very controversial topic, because I do know a lot of very patriotic, healthy Americans that are in the armed forces. And I know that they believe that they are fighting for our country. But after what they've gone through with being betrayed and harassed and intimidated and discriminated and bullied, I'm not going to say bullied because they're would not allow the bullying, but the way that they were treated by the military, I know that they are thinking about things differently as well. Ashley says the moon landing. I think most people would agree that when you look at the pictures of the so-called, whatever it was, the science project that was kind of put together with glue and sticks and foil, like aluminum foil, it doesn't really look like that would survive a trip to the moon. Just saying. And I also didn't know how somebody could pick up the phone and call somebody on the moon. I can't even, my call drops when I'm in a little valley trying to call my husband. So I don't get that part either. Just saying. Okay. Hacksaw says that we're supposed to trust science. That's one of the lies. Marianne, again, says the impossible globe and the moon landing. She said NASA in Hebrew means to deceive. That's very interesting. And then NASA admits that we can't go back because there are radioactive belts that can't be passed. And I think they also said that they lost the technology, because, technology usually goes backwards in society. Very, very interesting. She says that the Bible says, and she's right, that the sun and the moon and the stars move and everything else is fixed. So basically, the government wants us to worship science instead of the lie. Which is a lie, instead of scientism, which is a type of religion, instead of worshiping the truth. So that was from Marianne. And she also said the rabbit hole is very deep. And she said she recommends something called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon by Bart Sibrel. I have not read it. It sounds very interesting. And she said that helped to open her eyes. Okay, here's another one. One of the biggest lies. This one comes from Tammy. Welcome. She's a very frequent contributor. And she said one of the biggest lies is that the earth is out there spinning in space. She said, I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I should have known better. We are so gullible. And then here's another one. Old Blackstock says, it's hard to believe that anyone has ever left the Earth's atmosphere and that they went to the moon and they came back. He says it's preposterous. He said even as a kid, he heard adults question it. So he never really believed it. As a kid, he wasn't sure. He said as an adult, he doesn't really believe it. And even people in high-ranking positions, he says, may still believe it. So let's take a look at some of your comments from the previous video. I love these interactive things here, friends. Let me just cue that up. So Linda was lucky. She said in school that she remembered, she told the teacher that she didn't come from a monkey. I love that. Rhonda says, yes, we all bleed the same color. The color of the complexion on the skin, the fact that has been used, and it has been used to divide people, it's absolutely atrocious. And that was pushed forward through the evolution hypothesis idea is despicable. Sarah said she grew up in a Christian biblical worldview, so she never believed in any of that other origin story. Ramona says monkey business has not panned out. No, it hasn't, has it? I think that's just so condescending. And that's part of making people feel that they have such little self-worth. Well, if I just came from a monkey, then I must not be, capable of whatever. It's one of the ones that really bothers me the most. I think it's one of the primary lies because so much else rests on it. And then Sober reminds me that it's not that I mentioned the birds and evolution. It's not that the birds developed those features, but it was the ones with beneficial traits were the ones that survived. That's very interesting. So let's see. I'm just looking at your comments here, and many of you are agreeing with me about germ theory, and just kind of scrolling through here. Swiss Chalet says there's no such thing as bad bacteria. And that's another very interesting concept that we are told that is bad. And there are so many good scientists and medical practitioners and so forth that actually has good information about that. And I remember hearing that the bacteria is actually there to go clean up whatever it is your body was trying to get rid of, or if there was a wound or something. Not to say that things can't get infected from dirt or whatever, but it's another way of looking at things. Vlad on Flat Earth is his name there. And he said, yes, nothing exploded and it created everything. That's just what they're telling us, isn't it? And Swish says that the medical system is not about caring, it's about scaring. Oh my gosh. I can see how that is pretty widespread as well. Okay, let's continue on. And Vlad also says that Big Bang violates the first law of thermodynamics and the vacuum of outer space, and it violates the second law of thermodynamics. The second law of thermodynamics says that things actually break down. They don't get better. So, I mean, look in the mirror, right? I look in the mirror every day. I'm a day older, and my dog is getting older. My cat is getting older. When the animals get to a certain age, that, and all of us, we pass away. My car is breaking down. My things aren't working on it. Why? Because that's the nature of things wear down. That's this. If I have it right, Vlad, let me know. The second law of thermodynamics, that things actually go more into chaos and they break down. They don't get better. They don't improve. So the fact that there was chaos and then suddenly order, it's the exact opposite. And and I know that the evildoers like to say, out of chaos, order. That's one of the biggest lies of all. It's the exact opposite. That's why things break down and wear down. Have you been to LA lately? Yeah, a lot of decrepitude there. Swiss Chalet says that soap cannot jump from one person to another. You're absolutely right. So this concept we spoke about earlier. Cybergun has a lot of good names of doctors in the previous video called The Biggest Lies You've Been Told. I'm just not going to say them out loud because, gosh, these algorithms are so horrible. So, yes, Vlad also says scientific models are not reality. That's why they're called models. They were created as an idea, but they may turn out not to be true. Swiss says to look deeper into the terrain theory, that it might be a rebranding of the germ theory. That's very, very interesting. I will have to look deeper into that. All right, let's see what we're doing. Yeah, let's do a deep dive on all of these, friends. I just wanted to bring several to the forefront because it's been driving me crazy about, I think it started with the electric vehicles. And I'm like, how can people not know that they're not zero emissions? And I thought there are so many lies that we've been told. I'll just wrap up with a couple of funny ones as well. So it's not that funny, but, and let's see, I want to hear what you guys have to say. The evildoers in San Francisco had this great idea, well, in California and maybe in your state as well. Hopefully it's not in every state. So in California, you have to have like a low flow toilet because there's too much water being wasted to flush your waste down the toilet. Well, friends, the toilet was designed with a specific amount of water because it worked. And many of you told me, because I touched on this some months ago in a previous video, that those low flow toilets, you actually end up flushing it twice because the first time doesn't do the job, if you know what I'm talking about. But what happened in San Francisco Bay was there was so much waste that the bacteria was polluting the bay because there wasn't enough water to dilute the waste. And so fish were dying in the San Francisco Bay, and the brainiacs there had the brilliant idea of pouring bleach into the bay to bring down those levels of the pathogens or whatever, again, since we don't know about germs, but whatever was killing the fish. Don't you think the bleach was going to kill the fish? So a lot of these genius ideas backfire. I gave you another one of the plastic bag ban in California. Yes, if you don't live in California, boy, you're really missing out. No plastic straws. No water can be brought to your table. It's illegal for a server to bring you a glass of water and set it down in front of you unless you explicitly ask for it. And there will be no straw. No straw will be provided for you to sip your drink unless you explicitly ask for it. And it probably will be made out of paper, which you know how long that lasts when you're drinking something halfway through your drink. So they're doing it to save the planet. And of course, when they got rid of the plastic bags, the thin plastic bags that I used for kitty litter, to wrap up my leftovers, to put my shoes in if I was, going on an overnighter somewhere, all the millions of things that you can do with a plastic bag. Some people even start their seeds in a plastic bag, and then they will remove that into the soil. So plastic bags, the thin plastic bags, have 1,000,001 uses. And the brainiacs in California voted to ban the plastic bags. At the same time, they voted to legalize marijuana because, that's such a better choice. So not only did they get rid of the plastic bags, but they trotted out plastic bags that are like 100 times thicker, that are so unwieldy that you can't even use them. And there's more plastic that will take longer to degrade. And they're not even as useful because they're so thick, you can't even roll them up as much. That's what happened in California. And you get the privilege of paying for that plastic bag. So these are another of these lies that we were told, that you're going to save the planet by getting rid of those little thin, flimsy bags. Well, friends, I hate to break it to you, but even in California, you can go to the produce aisle and guess what's there? The little flimsy plastic bags, but they're green. And what I mean is they're the color green. So I guess that is good for the environment. Yeah. So those are a couple things that backfired: the low flow toilet, the plastic bags. It's actually the opposite. There's more plastic being manufactured, more plastic being disposed of. Really ridiculous. And then, that's just a couple that come to mind. So those things really backfire. So great to have all of you here, friends. And let's see a couple of your comments. All right. Cybergun says many truthers even can't handle some deeper truths yet, especially when it comes to scripture. But there is encouragement with people waking up to other topics like virology. And friends, I hope you'll watch a video that I did. I'll link it for you below. And I think it's called Questioning the Truth of Our World. That's where everybody should begin in terms of those that are like, oh, come on, Peggy, there you go. You're really losing it here. Like, I liked what you taught me about in the law, but now you're really going haywire here. I understand because it's difficult to have your worldview questioned. I really understand it, especially if you've held on to it for decades, especially if you've studied it, especially if you've taught it. There's probably some high school teachers here that are like, you're telling me I was teaching evolution and it's a lie? Well, my answer would be yes. So it takes a strong character to be able to face the reality or to even question and dig deeper. Everybody, please watch that video called Questioning the Truth of Our World, or Questioning the Narrative. I will have that linked for you at the end of this. And it is a great starter. I don't even talk about the lies, but what I talk about is how to be open-minded and how much empathy I have for people that are like, whoa, you are rocking my world. Wait a minute. It's a kind of grief. I grieved when I found out so many things about our world, all these lies that I was telling you. I grieved. Number one, that I could be so gullible. That was a big loss. Like, wait a minute, I'm smart. How could I not have caught this? So people would rather not catch it than to admit that they were duped. I get it. It's only people of a strong character are able to do that. So as my husband reminds me, there's human frailty. Not everybody's going to get it. Not everybody's going to make it, friends. They just aren't. And so we have compassion and kind of let that go. I have a couple of extended family members. You know what? I'm just not going to even go there. What's the point? What's the point? They've already done round 1. They've already done round 2. They've already done round 3, in and out of the hospital. Can't connect the clots. And what's the point? They don't want the information. I've offered it. They don't want it. I'm not going to go. I have another good video called How to Have the Hard Conversations. But the main thing is to understand that it is a type of grief. Number 1, that you fell for it. I think that's one of the hardest things for people to take. And number 2 is, how dare they? How dare these institutions that I might have somewhat trusted, like teachers, like the Smithsonian, which is one of the biggest spewers of hogwash ever. Come on. Not to say that there aren't good things that they've done, but by and large, you gotta like look at that with another skeptical view. It's hard. It's hard to say, wait a minute, all those museums I visited, they weren't telling me the truth about the age of the earth and the dinosaurs and all that. All the history classes, all these wars. You're telling me it wasn't for the reasons that they say? That's really heavy. And it takes a mature person who is able to handle that. So not everybody is. You, my lovely, healthy Americans, are, and that's why it is a pleasure to be with you on a regular basis. Listen, I am going to wrap up for now. We'll continue the conversation because there's so much good to dive into. And I think I'll do a newsletter, and I'm going to ask everybody to vote on what they would like number 1 to be for our next deep dive. And we'll take one of these topics, and there's more. We haven't even gone through all of the biggest lies, but we'll take one, and we'll take them one by one. And I do not purport to be an expert on the non-theory of evolution or on virology. I'm not an expert in that. I am an expert in civil rights and your God-given rights and standing up and how to write these letters. That is my area of expertise. I'm an encourager. I want you to be able to dig deeper. I'm an expert in critical thinking. I taught about that and communication skills. So I would say that's my area of expertise, but I don't have to be an expert on the moon landing or the nature of the earth or virology or abiotic oil. My goal is to open these things, put them on the table so that you'll scratch your head and go, hey, wait a minute, this bears digger deeping. Did you hear how I said that? I love when I change words. Yes, we need to do digger deeping. I think I'll have to put that on a t-shirt. By the way, friends, I have new t-shirts. I have one that shows zig with the line through it and then zag, because when they tell me to zig, I zag. And I've got another one that says socialism sucks. And I've got another one that says breathe. And there is a link for you below. And there's always some kind of coupon going on. I don't run the website. I'm just actually promoting it. These lovely healthy Americans are putting it up for me. So if you are interested, that's a way of having your message be there. Give me some messages about the biggest lies as well. But the point being, I don't have all the answers, but I have the questions. And I think the questions are more important than the answers. What say you? All right, friends. Yeah, dig deeper is what we need to do. And we will have some fun doing it because it is empowering. As much as there is a time to grieve that we were hoodwinked, there's a time to stand up and go, hey, that's not going to happen again. I am on to them, and I am going to learn from my Healthy American family here online. And I was going to say, I have a Healthy American that was pointing out a lot of the things that weren't adding up with Ohio. And also that plane crash. And so I love when you Healthy Americans are sending me the things that you've dug up, because it is so helpful for you to put your mind at work and to bring information that I can share here on this platform. I am on BitChute and Brighteon and Rumble. I'm on Instagram and Telegram. I'm on Substack, is where I really love for you to go if you want these deep dives in a written format. I don't do a written video. I don't do a written format of every video I do, but I select a couple throughout the week and sometimes on other topics that I can't talk about here on this channel. And then I do have peggyhall.tv, which is the private channel where all my videos are. And that's a way of supporting me as well. And then we want to support you with our monthly webinar. It's the last Saturday of every month. Many of you were on board, and we can talk about these things without all the code words because it is not a public viewing. It's only for those who have donated or supported. And if you're curious about what's going on with the lawsuit, I did a deep dive a day or two ago, and all of that is here on this channel as well. All right, friends, I can hear that I'm losing my voice. Signing off for now. I'm going to rest up, and we'll have a deep dive tomorrow, and I will take an informal poll, and we'll see where we will dive in together. So this is great. It's empowering. We're not in the spin cycle. We're going to feel more educated, more just savvy in terms of what is being sloshed all over us. All right, friends, signing off for now. Let me